The Presidency has welcomed the latest inscription of South African human rights and liberation struggle sites in the prestigious list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The inscription follows the 46th session of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee in New Delhi, India. The inscribed sites are located in 4 provinces and 7 municipalities across South Africa. Constitution Hill is among the sites inscribed, and we're now joined by its manager for heritage education and public programs, Reuben Phasha, to expand a little bit. Reuben, a very good morning. Good evening to you. An exciting project, really, a fantastic initiative. Talk to us about its significance.
Oh, wow. This is a great initiative. Its significance for the country as a whole. It's a project that took almost 11 years for South Africa to get to where we are. And I just want to send my appreciation for the team representing South Africa in India, New Delhi. They've done an outstanding, amazing work. It is a moment to be proud of for South Africa as a whole, for what our liberation struggle meant, how we dealt with the process of reconciliation, and it encapsulates all the human rights that we have fought for. All of that has been recognized internationally by the world, and it's just a great reference point. It's a big honor to South Africa, not just for those individual sites. It's something that we need to all celebrate and be grateful for 14 sites in the country, 4 provinces that you've mentioned, to get this honor of their input into human rights, liberation, and reconciliation. Of course, linked to the icon Nelson Mandela, as all of these legacy sites have something to do with his legacy. It is an amazing moment that we're all proud of.
The components of the 14 sites, what do they exemplify? As you speak about, the 11 years in the making, finally getting to the stage where this is now being shared across the sites in the country?
Well, it exemplifies the liberation struggle of South Africa as a whole, the triumph over the oppressive apartheid regime, and the triumphs of the human spirit, really, to achieve the democracy that we have today. It's very symbolic of all that process, because 30 years post-apartheid, it's very easy to forget all the struggle people went through. It's very easy to forget, but these monuments, they stand testament as a site of memory for all of that. And they are testament to the democracy that we have all achieved. And for them to be recognized in the highest order by UNESCO, to be recognized internationally, that every child in the world can look at this iconic World Heritage Site and say, here's a site that stands for a triumph over oppression all over the world. It's a great exemplary moment, and something that I will forever say should be cherished and celebrated and protected.
Talk to us about the New Delhi, India, and the excitement around there, as well as just sharing what is happening here in South Africa.
This, like you said earlier, it was a 46th session of the World Heritage Site, and I think what we should all know and come to appreciate is that there is about 1,000, I think before the sitting, 1,157 World Heritage Sites in the world across 467 countries. So, and if I were to bring it home, before this inscription, we had about only 10 World Heritage Sites in South Africa. And in Africa as a whole, we had about, I think, 147 sites. So it is a big thing for South Africa to have another World Heritage Site, because to be that, it means there should be no other site in the world that is like yours. to be recognized. There were 21 member states in the UNESCO World Heritage Committee that had to vote, that had to motivate, that had to agree with South Africa on this nomination and this inscription. And it was so tense. It was like watching the finals of the previous Rugby World Cup that we were almost referred back to say, you know, there are issues with that particular side or that particular side. And instead, we got the full inscription and not referred back. And we got a full bench, what you call, all 21 out of 21 votes out of all the 21 committee members voted for South Africa, gave motivation. We had Zambia leading the motivation, and all the countries adopted the motivation. It was such an exciting moment when everybody agreed that, you know, this is not just for South Africa. This is for human rights globally. This is for human rights entirely. And yeah, it was such a wonderful moment in New Delhi to celebrate, especially in India, because one of the sites in South Africa, where I work in Constitution Hill, used to be a prison that incarcerated Mahatma Gandhi, who is also an icon of India. And India, I think, in their motivation and celebratory comments, referred to that aspect about South Africa and what this means to the world and their country as well.
The presidency has asked the public to assist in safeguarding them. I mean, that in itself is highly imperative, because you speak about the impact, you speak about the history of reconciliation and what South Africa's endured to come to this point. But safeguarding them will be imperative. How are you ensuring that they will be safeguarded insofar as also communicating it to the public?
So, you know, I think one amazing thing about South Africa and its process in nominating these sites was their approach. And then it was stakeholder consultation for all the 14 sites. So the team led by Department of Forestry and Agriculture, Department of Arts and Culture nationally, National Heritage Council, and SARA, South African Heritage Resources Agency, went countrywide to do stakeholder consultations where all the sites are located. They invited everybody in the community, from the neighbors of the actual sites to heritage consultants, all the stakeholders that were interested and affected about this nomination were invited, especially those sites that are close to areas of development or areas that could really impact the community and local community around, to tell the people around what these sites mean for them and what would this nomination mean for local people in and around those sites. I think that stakeholder engagement was very critical and key, and needs to continue post this inscription, to call all those stakeholders again and say, yes, we got this status, but as we told you its benefits and what it means, it is important for you to realize that these are your sites. This is your World Heritage Sites, and then it is important for you as a community to help in the preservation and conservation of the sites for future generations, as sites of memory that we want our kids and their grandkids to see the sites so they can become obvious educators, you know, to say, to educate people about what not to do, to what not to repeat, the mistakes of the past, so that we can sustain the democracy that we have today. So taking care of the sites will really, really go a long way in education.